Like a Hellcat.
It's a little bit better. It is a stunner from Fabio Quagliarella. Come again for Dzeko, who's in for Roma and scores.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast of Calcio told like it is. I'm Frank Ravello. He, Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How we doing tonight, huh? It's
long time no see, man.
Yeah, 24 hours.
Yeah. For those who don't know, Richard and I appeared on the Calcio Connection last night with Alex Dono and Jerry Mancini. Had a great time. Talking Azzurri, talking, previewing the upcoming weekend a little bit, talking about Milan a little bit. So do go and check that out. Tyler Sharma, good to see you. Always, Tyler Sharma just makes it a point to be the first man in, doesn't he?
I love it.
Yeah, you gotta like that. So great stuff. We joined that and was actually a pleasant appearance this time. I maybe because I didn't have to host it like last time, so I could just could just sit back and speak my mind, and not that I don't speak my mind here, but just,
True. I was probably less impartial than I normally am on here, so
sure.
It happens.
Yeah, we can be more of a fan of our favorite team than on there. Here we're trying to be a little bit more objective and all of that other stuff. So
take more shots.
Do go check Alex and Jerry out over there at Calcio Connection. Good guys, put together a good podcast, and it was a pleasure to be on with them. So we're going to talk a little Azzurri here, obviously, with the international break. Italy coming off of wins over Northern Ireland and Bulgaria, and they will be taking on Lithuania on Wednesday. We'll recap those two games, maybe have a peek at what to expect for Wednesday's clash with Lithuania, and preview Saturday's slate of Serie A games. There's the Derby della Mole, among others, to look forward to there. So, plenty to talk about, and of course, the world's most famous hashtag game, Who Won Calcio Twitter. We've got a much bigger slate of entries to deal with tonight, Richard, than we did last week. I think they heard the call after we were a little disappointed with everybody deciding to try to maybe take a siesta from the contest. What do you say?
Yeah, I agree. A lot more, really good ones this week. Even though the winner last week was pretty funny, there were some good ones this week. So I was scrolling through, and I'm excited to unveil.
This will be a good one.
Yeah,
we have some contenders this week. Something to do with a certain logo too that just got unveiled today. I think that we're not going to break that down. That's just part of Who Won Calcio Twitter, and I think you're going to find some pretty interesting entries on that.
Yeah.
Stevie's in the house. Oh, good to have you on. Good to have you in the chat with us, my friend. Let me ask you this, Richard, and let me ask that chat. And I was thinking about this, as just kind of maybe an overview question about these two games that we saw with the national team. Would you rather win, get the 3 points, kind of like they're doing? It's been resourceful. It's been, get the 3 points or move on. Or do you prefer to see something more convincing out of Roberto Mancini's side?
It's tough. You like to see in the shutouts for sure, right? That's number one. You also want to see that they can win ugly when they have to. You don't want to see it all the time, because at times you will be forced to win ugly. If you win convincingly all the time, we've seen teams who've coasted through qualifying, and then when they go to the big stage, they had no challenges, and then they lost in knockout stages. So we don't want to see that either. So it's a combination of both. At times you want to see them win ugly, but at other times you also want to be convincing as well. So what the big thing for me is to see, is anyone going to step up, show that they're playing? They want some spots that are available, and I think we did see that. I think.
Yep. Yeah, we did. I'm on the side of the former. I'm just get your 3 points and go on to the next game. Is for me what qualifying is all about, especially under the new circumstances where these teams are now playing 3 games during an international break.
Yeah.
Which is it's way too much. In my opinion. 2, fine, and you can space it out a little bit more. Here they're trying to jam in 3 games over an international break with players that are already playing every 3 days or so for their club teams. So I'm fine with all right, find a way, 2-0 here, 2-0 there, get it done, get the 3 points and move on. I don't think that they have to be stylish, under the format that FIFA and UEFA have this set up. I just think that they just got to get the 3 points, beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Doesn't really matter how you make the sausage in this one. Just go on and get your 3 points and move forward. I'd be interested to hear if the chat thinks there should be more goals from this Azzurri team, if they should be playing with more style, or if this is okay. I'm fine with it, and maybe it's because growing up watching the national team and watching the Catenaccio, I'm somewhat used to it. I'm somewhat used to watching 11 game managers out there. I don't want to see the 14-0 that we saw Japan put up today. So I definitely don't want to see that. Oh, did that happen? I know Belgium. Yeah. Belgium beat Belarus with their backups and beat them 8-0 today. Yeah, so. Japan won 14-0 today, and they scored like 4 goals in the 90th minute plus. I mean, it was ridiculous. Yeah, you don't have to do that. No. So you don't have to do that. I get that. Phil B, I think had this been a regular year, there would have been more analysis on the actual performance, but at the end of the day, 3 points are the only thing that matter. Okay, it's fine as long as Mancini gets his philosophy through to his players. Good answers. Okay, so it's kind of consistent. Just something I was thinking about. I mean, because I think the way things are structured, I think it's hard to just go out and try to be convincing with your best 11, 90 minutes every 3 days. So, I like how. And Steve's the same way. I'm with the win and move on, but they can't miss so many chances. That's what's bothered them the last 2 games, and we'll break that down. So that was the overview question that I had, Richard. Why don't you get us started with what went down between Italy and Northern Ireland? Okay. Game between obviously a game that we thought going into this that was going to be. It was going to be a difficult one because we thought maybe Ireland was going to, stand 11 men behind the ball. It was a game that we thought would be tight. While we don't think this is the strongest team in the group or the strongest team of the 3 that they're going to play amongst these 3 games, it was never going to be an easy game for them just because of the way Northern Ireland play, especially because they're not as good as they have been in recent years. So looking at the lineups in this one, starting for the Azzurri, in goal Donnarumma, they went with a back 4 of Florenzi, Bonucci, Chiellini, and Emerson. Then the midfield of Pellegrini, Locatelli, and Verratti, and then Berardi, Immobile, and Insigne at the top. I was good with that lineup, Frank. Obviously, it wasn't their top lineup, their best 11, but it was a strong lineup, I thought. And having Berardi and Insigne on the wings, you had an opportunity to maybe create some chances in the game, and maybe Immobile could feast off of. What were your thoughts in the starting 11 of the game? I was happy to see Berardi starting because I think you and I have been saying for weeks, maybe even months, that Berardi was probably the guy that needed to get the shot on the right side of that front 3. We had been trying with Chiesa, trying with Bernardeschi, and with not so flattering results. Maybe Bernardeschi oddly enough, doing a little bit better than Chiesa when you consider Juventus. Chiesa's in really, really good form, and Bernardeschi's a substitute. So you just kind of flip it when it comes to the national team. But I thought that Berardi is more deserving than both of them to at least get an opportunity, and I think that he's taken that opportunity and he's run with it. So I was glad to see that he got the shout there on the right side of that front three. You still got to figure out who your fullbacks are in this national team, and Florenzi is shown some decent form playing for PSG this season. Certainly a much better attacker in spots than he is a defender. I thought that over the course of both games there were moments where he got exposed a little bit. Emerson on the left-hand side, I liked it, and it was a good spot to give Manuel Locatelli a shot. Considering what he's meant to Sassuolo this season as well, and you always got the tried and trusted Bonucci and Chiellini at the center back position.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. And then looking at the opposition, in goal, Peacock Farrell. They went with a 5-3-2 formation. You had Dallas, McNair, Evans, Cathcart, and Smith in the back. In the middle, you had McCann, Davis, and Evans, and up top you had McGuinness and White. Not a formidable lineup by any stretch, but it was a lineup that we would face nonetheless. This game would be interesting because in the first half, the Azzurri really did come out and try to put pressure on Northern Ireland. We talked about in the last podcast how that the chance for Northern Ireland to park the bus was going to be high, and the best chance for them is to score early, and that way it would really put a lot of pressure on Northern Ireland to come out of their shell, and that's what we saw. Domenico Berardi, goal of the week candidate in the 14th minute. Not that we have many goals this week, right? But a wonderful goal, short side, could have been saved, sure, but it was a nicely placed shot, nice power behind it. 1-0 in the 14th minute, and then a goal that's not goal of the week candidate in the 38th minute. Ciro Immobile scoring on the short side, an ugly shot, but it got in nonetheless. Breaks his duck right past Peacock Farrell, and 2-0. That would be all the Azzurri would need. Nice, comfortable lead going into halftime, and then there was, Northern Ireland started putting pressure in the second half. One of the ones I really want to focus in on in the second half, and it came around the 50th, 60th minute or so. Manuel Locatelli, a guy who we've been very high on, right? The Sassuolo guys in general we've been high on, but Locatelli, someone we thought who could probably take maybe Verratti's spot in the Azzurri in terms of the starting 11. He had a terrible giveaway. Donnarumma gave it to him. He tries to give it back to Donnarumma. Ends up being a turnover. Luckily, Donnarumma was paying attention and made a big save. But that could have been disastrous had they scored that. And then who knows what happens when it's game on at that point. But overall, he played well, I think. But that mistake, he had to learn quickly. And he did. I think he did overall. In the two games, learn from that mistake. But not the turnover you want to do. At least it was to Northern Ireland. It wasn't to a bigger club.
I mean, that's really the only way Northern Ireland were going to get any dangerous chances in this game was as if Italy got sloppy in possession. And I think in the second half they did immensely.
I agree about Steve. Spinazzola had, probably the best first half of left back in a long time. Spinazzola, I thought, stood out for me as
in the
well.
Bulgaria game. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because you look at this Northern Ireland team and there's no creativity to them.
No.
I mean, the midfielders, Davis is an industrious guy. He's a worker. He's not a guy that you're looking to, that's going to unlock anybody. He's not a guy that's going to break you with his passing.
Isn't he like 56 too? He's not young anymore, so he's
played for a while. Yeah. I mean, so Northern Ireland were, going to hoof it forward and hope these two guys, White and McGuinness, could get under it.
Yep.
I mean, really, their most creative guy is Dallas.
Yeah.
Who plays for Leeds United? Who plays his club ball for Leeds United? So the only way that Northern Ireland was going to get dangerous was if Italy got careless, and there were moments where in the second half where Italy got careless.
Yeah.
Giving away possession. In some really strange spots. I think Italy has to count their blessings. Donnarumma had to come up with 3 saves in the second half. And that's not something with a 2-0 lead that you expect from an Italy team. You expect that, like I said, you expect that game management. You expect that, being able to sort this out and then maybe even getting a third goal, which is what we've seen under Mancini. So yeah, it was it was a struggle watching them play in the second half. I thought that there were some concerns. I thought that Locatelli was very good in the first half. I think he faded out in the second half and rightly got subbed.
Yeah.
So Steve, I agree with you to an extent. Pellegrini, I'm still not sold on in the Azzurri setup. Marco Verratti is going to just be a constant, and I thought he was very good in this game. He was one of the guys that was actually trying to connect things. There wasn't a whole lot of danger from him going forward, but it was kind of a composed, Marco Verratti kind of performance in this game where I thought, Locatelli petered out as the game went on. And Pellegrini, this isn't it for him. I mean, we talk about guys that just tactically don't fit, in certain spots. And we talked about this last week when we talked about Roma against Napoli. Pellegrini's a 10. He's kind of a, closer to the forward type player. I don't know if he's a midfielder in a three-man midfield. And it looked like he had his issues.
Right.
We'll get to Barella when we talk about the Bulgaria game.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think Pellegrini's another one of these guys who just doesn't fit the 4-3-3 setup that Mancini likes to run. So he has to find a way to get adapted, or Mancini needs to find a way to adapt him to the system. I think we maybe saw that with Chiesa in the second game, how he's starting to find a way to implement him in the lineup. But what we did see is, guys like Berardi, who's used to this kind of lineup, really, blossom in the last couple of games. Pellegrini struggled, and while he struggled in this game, he's not used to this kind of formation. His his counterpart, to Steve's credit, did have a good showing, I think, in these 2 game and a half that he played or whatever it was. So it's going to be difficult for them. These guys are not out of the woods by any stretch. They still have plenty of opportunities to stake their claim on the team. The strikers we talked about last night on the Calcio Connection with Jerry and Alex, we said that it's a wide open position right now. I mean, nobody really has staked the claim yet. They all have opportunities, and the same thing could be said with Pellegrini. Yes, they have 3, arguably 4, top center midfielders, but there's still opportunity. And and if it's a long tournament, if it's injuries come up, COVID comes up, you're gonna rely on these guys like Pellegrini. You're gonna need him to get adjusted to the system so that he can perform when he's called on.
Yep.
So,
and this was an opportunity for some midfielders here. To step up with the absence of Jorginho. Because, when Jorginho's fit, he's in the middle of that midfield 3.
Yeah.
And I think that's a player that Italy missed, especially in the second half of this game. To be able to trust his ability to pass, his ability to kind of dictate things from a deep-lying position, help Italy keep the ball, not give anything away cheaply. And I think that was something that Italy were having issues with in the second half.
Yeah.
So when you don't have Jorginho out there, it does create some issues. It was a great opportunity for guys like Locatelli and Pellegrini to step up, and I thought Locatelli did. Like I said, I think that phased out as the game went on. But put himself in as a contender if Italy is in a pinch for that position. But it's. Yeah. After that game, I came away saying that's still Jorginho's role when he's healthy. So. Yeah,
I think it's going to be hard to supplant Barella and Jorginho. I think if it's going to be hard for all 3 guys, right? Because when all 3 guys are on, they're formidable, right? But I think if the least consistent of the 3, I think would probably be Verratti. Because we've seen how he's done, at least the PSG. With the Azzurri, he's been good. So it'll be interesting. Somebody has to step up. It's not going to be given to them. They have to earn it. Locatelli looks the most promising, but who knows? You never know. With some of the guys, Pessina, Locatelli, like we mentioned, and so some others, they have the opportunity there. But we'll see.
Yep. Chiesa looked like he didn't understand what Mancini wanted on the right wing. That's a bit of a problem. Steve, we're going to talk about Chiesa here as we break down what happened with Bulgaria and Italy. So, Richard, Mancini went ahead and rang in a few changes from the win over Northern Ireland. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 to be exact. It was Donnarumma in goal, Florenzi still on the right, Bonucci still at the center back, but Acerbi partnering him this time, Spinazzola at left back. Midfield, Verratti kept his role. Sensi replaced Locatelli, and then Nicolo Barella replaced Pellegrini. And then the front three, Insigne, this time Andrea Belotti and not Ciro Immobile, and then Federico Chiesa on the right wing. When you have these international games every 3 days, you got to have some rotation. And the guys that Mancini can call on, I mean, Italy has really got a deep squad, and they can usher out the six guys that played in the Northern Ireland game, bring in 6 guys here against Bulgaria, and possibly in certain spots be better, but certainly not miss a beat.
Yeah, and there's plenty of depth with the Azzurri, no doubt about that. Now, are they all adjusted to Mancini's system? No, but they have certainly a plethora of talent that they could use on pretty much all positions, right? They have backups for everything. So, yeah, no, it was nice to see, some of these guys, Belotti, you knew Belotti was going to get a chance after Immobile. Chiesa certainly was going to get a sniff, especially after his great season that he's having so far. And then good to see Sensi back, a guy who's been riddled with injuries. You never know whether when he comes on the pitch, if he's going to get injured again or he's going to have an outstanding performance, right? So it's a mixed bag with him. And then, good to see Acerbi because, we talked about maybe Acerbi being one of the staples for the center backs, going forward in the big tournaments. But so it's good to see him, paired up with Bonucci, who's more of a passer like we've mentioned before. And Acerbi's more the tactician, plays those angles right. He's a hard-nosed guy. Really, really a hard defender to play against. I mean, ask any striker in the league. So it was a good lineup overall. And like I said, it's the pleasures of having so much depth on the team that not many teams can boast about.
Sure. Bulgaria comes back with Plamen Iliev in goal. They played a back three, Valentin Antov, Daniel Dimov, and Vasil Boshikov. The Cicinho was on the right wing back. Svetanov on the left wing back, Chochev, Vitanov, and Kostadinov in midfield. Kostadinov, I think his dad was on the 94 World Cup team that reached the semifinals. And then up front you had Spas Delev, and then of course a guy that we're familiar with, Andrei Galabinov, who plies his trade at Spezia. And it was actually Galabinov got free early in the game, put a shot on target, one that Donnarumma wasn't terribly bothered by. So, he was certainly going to be the danger man of any kind, but it's going to be aerial with him, more than anything. And his height and his presence was one guy that I was concerned about when I saw Bulgaria's lineup, especially with Bonucci's penchant to lose people in crossing situations. So, just a wee bit. So, this game was Italy just completely controlled the possession of the ball. I mean, that shot on target early in the game from Galabinov was their only chance, and then there was hardly any incident in this first half. It was just blah for me. Yeah, it was. I saw some comments in the chat about Spinazzola. He was extremely active on the left hand side. I thought he was very good.
Berardi had a good game overall, I think. But yeah, I agree with you. It wasn't much.
Belotti?
Belotti, yeah. Sorry, Belotti. Yeah. Belotti was I'm thinking of Berardi, obviously. Belotti was having a lot of opportunities.
Run the Bulgaria game, Richard. You got your...
I know. All the Bs, they all sound the same. Bonucci, Berardi.
So...
yeah, exactly.
So I was impressed with Stefano Sensi, in the first half. I thought that, considering that he has not seen a lot of game time, for Inter and coming back and being able to put in a quality shift in this game, I thought that he was solid. He certainly didn't hurt Italy in this game. So
no, and we thought of the two games that that happened this week, Bulgaria was going to be the more difficult of the two games, just because they're a little bit better quality of an opponent as opposed to Northern Ireland. So it did not. I mean, it was kind of how we expected it to be. Both games really, and it was a blah game, but mostly because wasn't much. We missed opportunities for sure, but Bulgaria had something to do with that as well. So.
Yep. Italy get the penalty just before halftime. Andrea Belotti in the 43rd minute, converting that penalty after he was fouled in the penalty area. Second half, Mancini rang in many changes. Around the 68th minute, Di Lorenzo comes on for Florenzi. Manuel Locatelli comes on for Sensi. And then in the 75th minute, Ciro Immobile in for Andrea Belotti, and then Bernardeschi replacing Chiesa. It was the 82nd minute where Emanuele Locatelli would score, played by Insigne, and that sealed it for the Italians. A much more convincing second half from them. Less possession, but more quality in their chances. They outshot Bulgaria 14-2 in the second half. Outshot them 8-1 in the first half, but they got 5 on target. They outshoot Bulgaria 22-3 in this game overall. So, controlled performance from the Azzurri. And then more importantly, I thought that they were much more composed, that they played our own midfield out of the game. I don't know about that, Steve. I don't know about that. I thought that Italy's midfield were solid. I mean, if you're going to play the other team's midfield out of the game, it's got to be backed up with chances and creating chances. And I see 3 shots from Bulgaria. So did they do some solid things? Did they win? Were they strong on the tackle? Yeah. Did they connect some passes through the midfield? Yeah. But I don't think they bossed Italy's midfield 3, not by a long shot. Back it up with some chance creation, and they didn't do that. So, and a lot of that was, I think, Italy's shape, Italy's organization. They really didn't give anything cheap away, and they didn't really give anything cheap away against Northern Ireland when they were set up in defensive situations. I think that Northern Ireland got their chances out of Italy just, losing possession a little too cheaply. So, takes on what you saw against Bulgaria here.
I think, obviously it started out very difficult for the Azzurri. I think they got lucky with that penalty call. I think it was a little bit of a weak call against Belotti, but they scored nonetheless, and I think that really helped them to propel them going into the second half, and then it's coming out in the second half and played much better, as you mentioned, with the amount of shots that they had that they created. Overall they deserved the win. We thought it would be a 1, maybe 2 goal victory against Bulgaria. And it was kind of how we thought it was going to be. Was it the greatest game in the world? No, but they got the job done. We mentioned at the beginning of this that it was 2 ugly games. It certainly was, and they found ways to win. What now I want to see going into this Lithuania match is I want to see, we were talking about what do you want to see, a team that's convincing or a team that's playing ugly. I want to see them play convincing against Lithuania because they should, frankly, compared to Northern Ireland and Bulgaria. This is even lesser quality of an opponent, so they should put up goals easier. I hope.
Well, this is arguably the worst team in the group.
Correct.
In Lithuania, Switzerland could only beat them 1-0. Let me just take let me take a quick peek at this. In that game between Switzerland had 69% possession, outshot Lithuania 21-4, had 9 shots on target. So this goalkeeper played on his head. Shaqiri got the goal 2 minutes into the game, and it looks like Switzerland spent the whole game just looking at this statistically, peppering Lithuania's net and just couldn't get more than the 1 goal that they got. But that's kind of Switzerland for you. Steve's clarifying. Bonucci and Florenzi trying the long ball, played our own midfield out of the offensive side of the game. And the one ball that Bonucci played that Belotti should have scored.
Yeah.
But if you've got that skill set, why not? I mean, don't do it all the time to the point where you're predictable. But, yeah, I don't mind seeing our defenders mix that in. So
yeah, the best teams will mix it up, right? If you do the same thing over and over again, the good teams are going to run you off the course, run you off the pitch, I should say. So you need to work on a team against like Bulgaria is when you want to try these things out, right? These long balls, these things that you don't normally do. So that way you can, when you play the bigger opponents, you can add all this stuff. You have this stuff in your bag that you can really throw in there and really surprise the opponent. So I mean, some of the passes, like that pass to Belotti, was fantastic. But, the other ones, I think, really, took the midfield out of that game in that sense. So, yeah, I agree with that by Steve. So,
all right, let's address some things here as far as players,
okay.
Over these couple of games, Richard. Let's start with the center backs. Bonucci and Acerbi or Bonucci and Chiellini. I'm with the latter. I like Bonucci and Acerbi. In the national team setup, and I mean it's close. Bonucci and Chiellini have played together forever, and that's the obvious connection. But I think Acerbi just gives some control and some balance, and he's, more dynamic. Chiellini's like in the autumn of his career, and there's some things he can do. He can get into a street fight with someone like Lukaku, like they did in the Derby d'Italia back in January, but then that's about it. That's what he's good for, but Acerbi certainly has a lot more that he offers to his skill set. What say you about the center backs?
Well, neither of the pairings are my ideal pairings, right? Maybe Acerbi's in that mix, but not Bonucci and Chiellini. But between the two that we saw, I agree with you. I think seeing Acerbi in there would be better. I think if you're in a tight game where you need to bring on another defender, I think Chiellini is absolutely the guy to bring in, especially with his experience and his street fighting ability. It's somebody you really want to close out a game. But in terms of the long game overall, I think Acerbi is probably the better mix to have in there, just because he can do a little bit more, especially he's a little bit younger, and he keeps it calm back there for when Bonucci does his thing sometimes, and not that Chiellini can't do it, but like you mentioned, Chiellini is in the autumn or even the winter of his career, so it's Acerbi can keep in the game more often and maybe has a little bit more pace than the Chiellini can offer as well. So
yep,
a little bit more.
The fullbacks Leonardo Spinazzola is clearly in the lead for me at left back. Yes. From his performance against Bulgaria, because I think fullbacks were a question coming into this as well. We talked about that being something that we're not totally sold on. Yeah. I think on the right side it's Florenzi by default, unless somehow Calabria is fit and able to play with the national team, to which Jerry in the chat is asking, does Calabria's injury hurt his chances of playing with Italy in the summer?
I think it does. I mean, not to say that anybody else is playing lights out, right? No, they're not. I think if Calabria was healthy and he got his opportunity, I think he really could shine and make it his own. But unfortunately, he's not going to have that opportunity right now. And who knows if Florenzi, who has the experience, gets hot, or if Di Lorenzo starts playing really well, any of them can take the position. And Mancini, he does have his favorites, at times. And if he finds a player that he likes and it suits his system, the way he thinks it should run, he's going to keep going with that player, right? So it does hurt his chances, because I think Calabria would be the ideal choice for right back over the other two. But we'll see. I mean, it's certainly not in his favor with that injury, right? He's got to be third easily behind Florenzi and then Di Lorenzo. But we'll see. I mean, time will tell.
Let me throw a wild card left back scenario.
Left back, okay.
Alessandro Bastoni as somebody that can hybrid over there. Now hear me out.
Sure. Okay.
Italy did this with Chiellini.
Yeah.
And, and the reason why I like it is now you might give Insigne a little more freedom to stay high. So that when you win the ball in defensive situations, now not only do you have a striker, whether it's Immobile or Belotti or whoever, to play out to, but you also have Insigne as another outlet, and that could potentially put some more pressure on the opponent. Not to mention, Bastoni might, at his age, comparing him to Bastoni's going to make the team as a center back. I'm just completely speaking on a wild card scenario. Where Insigne has a little bit more freedom and doesn't have to track back as much because of Bastoni's defensive qualities. But the other thing is that Bastoni's pretty technical. He can serve a ball when asked to. He's got good passing technique. I don't necessarily hate the idea. Mancini will never do it. But what do you think of that as an option?
Backed into a corner and with options limited, I think that's a fantastic option. I mean, if Spinazzola goes down injured or is playing really poor, same thing with Emerson. I mean, yeah, bring in Bastoni because he's certainly versatile enough to do that. But I think for the points that you just mentioned about the qualities he has, I think it makes him a perfect pairing for Acerbi because he is an upgrade from Bonucci. He can do the long ball. We've seen the long ball from Bastoni this season. Some really great passes from deep with Inter. So we know he has that in his bag as well, and I think with his speed and his youthful exuberance, would really be a great complement to Acerbi. But with that said, like I said, if the circumstances fit, I can see that working. Or even if it came to crunch time in a game and you really want to tighten down that left back because the right wing is tearing you up, you bring in Bastoni, it would help out tremendously. I assume Frank Kessie's not available, so that's why we can't call on him.
Yeah, he's playing for Ivory Coast. So you see the referee in that Ivory Coast Ethiopia World Cup qualifier. The referee fainted.
Oh, no, I didn't see that.
Like he had to be carried out on a stretcher. Like he was struggling. And then I was watching the basketball game before coming on here, the Gonzaga game. The referee in that game passed out and hit the back of his head against the floor.
Jeez.
Had to be stretchered out. And I don't know if that was a dehydration issue or if there's something else. So, but yeah, it's just a thought. I think right now it's Spinazzola there at the left back position.
Yeah.
I thought Nicola Barella was disappointing against Bulgaria.
Sure.
What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't his normal self that we're used to seeing, but I mean, it could be any matter of things with that, right? So I'm not too worried about it right now. I think he is a big game player. He's shown that both in club and country. So unless he has a massive fallout in some bigger game coming up, I don't see that being a problem. But yeah, anytime you see him or anybody who you're used to watching play very well have a down game, you're like, what's going on here? But you got to give it credit that it's probably just a down game. If he plays against Lithuania and does that again, maybe I'll get a little bit more worried, right? But it's just an off game. Now, if it's anybody else, maybe who's not as consistent, maybe it's Bernardeschi, I'd be like, it's normal, right? So
is it a product of he's playing too many games for his club and he might be wearing down?
It's possible because the amount of fixtures that all the teams have been playing is a lot, and Barella is one of the key players for both the Azzurri and Inter. Obviously, Inter he's one of the main cogs for that team to get them running while they're in first place. So that is a possibility, absolutely. Yep. But we'll see. I mean, with the rotation that the Azzurri can provide, if it were to become an issue that Mancini would spot right away, I think we have a lot of talent in that midfield that they can give him a rest. But he's still got to be choice number one.
True or false? Italy's best three-man midfield is still Barella, Jorginho, Verratti.
Phil says maybe Conte told him to take it easy. Yes, I mean, if Locatelli played lights out those two games that we just saw, I would maybe say it's maybe not. So I give a slight advantage to the trio of Jorginho, Verratti, and Barella. The close 1B would be for me is Locatelli and slot of Verratti. But the main three I think are still the midfield trio to go with. How about you?
I agree. I think it's true. I think you got Jorginho, who can help Italy keep the ball in deep lying positions, plays with great range. Barella is your worker that can go box to box. We talk about it all the time. I mean, the role, the formation's different, but the role really isn't different for him with those guys in there. And then Verratti can play a little bit higher, to the left of Jorginho, and can really be dangerous with his passing ability, being able to split defenders, being able to, play the striker in, being able to play in his, the two wide forwards. So, for me, I haven't seen anything from Pellegrini, Locatelli, Sensi, that tells me that they have stepped up and taken one of these spots. I still think that's our midfield three.
Yeah, for sure.
And now, finally, striker. I mean, let's just say this.
What about right wing?
Oh, we can talk. Yeah, right wing too. But left wing, I think it's Lorenzo Insigne, and that's it.
Yep.
Done. Let's go right wing. I think that after how he performed against Northern Ireland, I think Domenico Berardi continues to put himself ahead. I think that Chiesa, it continues to be a struggle for him, and I don't think Bernardeschi sees enough game action for his club to warrant being a starter.
Yeah, and I think it was Steve who made a comment in the chat about Zaniolo. Here he goes. He says, if Zaniolo would be healthy, major decisions for Mancini. I think, yes. I think he would add an element to that right wing position between him and Berardi. I think, Chiesa, you still want him in the team, obviously, because what he's doing in Serie A could eventually translate to Azzurri, and you could find him somewhere else. You could play left wing, wherever, right? But I think, of all the players we've seen at right wing, Berardi is the only one that's really stepped up and started, taking the bull by the horns, so to speak. I mean, he was creating a lot of chances in that Northern Ireland match. So, it's got to be him, and Bernardeschi as well. He's at times he has. I would put Bernardeschi slightly ahead of Chiesa at the moment for the Azzurri, just because he's had better games for the Azzurri than Chiesa has. Yep. But the potential, I think, with Chiesa is sky high, especially the way this season's going. So, yeah, it's Berardi and then Chiesa for me. And then, if Zaniolo's in the mix, which I don't want to see in the mix just because I love the player, but he's Mr. Glass. I know that because I'm Mr. Glass as well. So I don't want to see him get injured again. Save his legs, let him have a long career. If Berardi continues to play the way he can and Chiesa steps up, I think we'll be good at right wing. But having Zaniolo, a healthy Zaniolo, a truly healthy Zaniolo, would be a nice compliment, I think.
Yep. Would you prefer Zaniolo on the wing or attack? I want him on the wing. I want his pace and his ability to go at some.
With this formation, absolutely.
Yeah, in this formation, far better in a wider area. Yeah. For me, here's the problem with Chiesa. He's playing in a higher position on the national team that I just don't think makes the best use of his talents and his skill set. You look at why he was successful at Fiorentina and then subsequently now at Juve. He comes out of a wide midfield position, or he comes out of a centrally wide midfield position. With Fiorentina, they had him playing right wing back for a while, and you thought it was silly, and you're just like, all right, what's going on here? But then you saw some games and you saw he performed. It made sense. He is very good at getting into the spaces that the guys in front of him are leaving behind and getting himself into position. He thrives on that. He's excellent at that. So if you put him up front in the front three, he can't do that. He's now got to make those runs that, that's leaving room for a Barella to come forward or for a Verratti to come forward. So if you play him in a high position, he looks like he's having issues with knowing where to go. Yep. And he can't use some of that dynamism, forward, coming out of the midfield, running with the ball. Forwards are making runs and stretching defenders. When he's coming forward from the midfield with the ball, he's forcing defenders into decisions. Do I go for a tackle here, or do I stay with my defender? He creates those 2v1 situations that we always are looking for, on the pitch. He's creating those numbers up problems. He can't do that in a forward position. And that's where I see the struggle right now with him in the national team.
I wonder if he gains enough of Mancini's confidence where Mancini says, I'm going to take the reins off of your positional expectations and let's Chiesa maybe drift deeper as opposed to sitting up so high. Again, in between that, the midfield three and where he's supposed to be lining up, maybe he can find some room there where he can create some opportunities. But I think that would be the only way he could really thrive in this 4-3-3 formation because, as you mentioned, when he's so high up on the pitch and gets really stuck up in that right corner, it's not effective for what he normally does. Right. There's times in games, yes, when he can do that, but not when that's his main position in the game. And so, yeah, it's going to be difficult for him. I think if he and Mancini can figure out a way to get him to be successful in this formation, it'll make him a better player overall. So,
would you put him in Barella's spot in the midfield?
It's worth a try because I was thinking that when you were talking about it, I was like, it's certainly I would give it a go for sure. Maybe Lithuania is the team to try it against, right? Yeah. It gives him more time to run. He can run behind some of the attackers in the empty space that you mentioned. But it wouldn't be something that I would see permanently. With the way Chiesa's been playing this season, you almost want to see him in a starting 11 role, and I wouldn't want to see him take Burla's spot or anybody in that midfield at the moment. So, but yeah, I would certainly absolutely try just to see what happens. You never know. Maybe he becomes a freaking monster for the Azzurri doing that, right? But then you really have questions with that midfield. So, yeah, why not give it a try against a lesser opponent, and then see how it goes.
Yeah, it's a risk. I mean, I think it's something that you would try to do if it was you needed a goal late in the game and you don't play him from the start, and then last 12 minutes it's like, all right, yeah, let's or even put him in for Verratti and have him come back and fall into the midfield shape. But when Italy can win it and go forward, he's the guy that just really confuses things for the opposing defense with the runs that the front three are making, and then he's coming in behind. But from a front three perspective, it just looks weird with him. There are moments where it just looks like he doesn't know where to run. Now he'll make up for it at times with good technical quality on the ball, but it's not as natural for him. I like him coming out of the midfield and attacking getting in positions behind the forwards, not necessarily being a forward himself. So that's an interesting one. Yep. And finally, striker. Immobile gets a goal. He gets it. We all have kind of been very as happy as we are for him. He scores. He beats Peacock Farrell at the near post. We think a better goalkeeper probably deals with that. But, when you're having form issues, you'll take anything. We talked about that last night. You'll take anything that you can get for goals to get you back on the upswing. Belotti gets a penalty. Missed a very good chance in the second half. Statistically, Immobile played well against Northern Ireland, missed a couple of big chances. Do you come away with the definitive answer for who the striker should be for the Azzurri when we go into the Euros?
I don't have a definitive answer at the moment because I think neither guy, no one of the, him, Immobile, Belotti, Caputo, we haven't seen as much of. Ceane, you haven't seen much of really who could play striker. We've seen him play really well this year for PSG. None of these guys have really stood out for the Azzurri yet. And, it's great that Immobile scored a goal. He breaks his duck. Ask any striker if you're clamoring for goals and you get any kind of goal, you'll take it because that could eventually open the waters, right? That could happen. Yeah. There's rumors that he may be starting against Lithuania, so we'll see what happens, right? Does it have a chain reaction and lead to more goals? That is the team that you're probably going to get a lot of goals against, but we'll see. And there's no front runner for me. They're pretty much all on par at the moment. If you're looking at based solely on the formation, which you really shouldn't do always, but in this situation, I think, Caputo would fit the best. We've talked about that numerous times. Mm-hmm. But, the two front runners seem to be Immobile and Belotti. But Immobile is the probably the purest striker, one of the purest strikers in Serie A, no doubt about it, and maybe even Europe. And then Belotti is a more complete striker. Yep. I would favor the more complete striker, but honestly, and we talked about this on the Calcio connection last night, I don't give a damn who it is, as long as you perform. I'd rather all the guys be performing, so you just plug and play, and it's like Atalanta, right? Just plug and play, and as long as you do well, that's all that matters. Yeah, that's the same thing with the Azzurri. When it comes to the Azzurri, forget the club team. It's all about the country, and everybody has to do a good job, and that's the most important thing for me. So we'll see. It's not a clear cut winner for me at the moment. How about you?
We don't have a striker yet. Yep. We don't, and I think that Immobile probably edged ahead ever so slightly here. The gap isn't noticeable though.
Sure.
It isn't obvious, and I'm with you, and I'm with Tyler here. We all talked about it. We've been talking about it for a long time. That Caputo, fit wise, would be the best answer. But he can't stay fit. That's the issue.
Correct.
And I think that's going to hurt his chances of making this team.
So Steve has a good point where he says, it's kind of what we're talking about. We have a problem at striker. I think though, the way our midfield players are, the top three guys, and even Locatelli, and then the way Berardi's been playing, recently, and then the way Insigne is capable of playing, you have 5 guys who can really create opportunities and create chances.
Yeah.
Honestly, whoever playing striker, any of these guys are playing striker, they should be able to put the ball in the back of the net. Now, both these guys, Immobile and Belotti, they missed some quality opportunities in the game, in their games that they played. But I think what's promising, even though the striker position is still looking like a problem for us, the emergence of a right wing now, possibly. Obviously, we have the midfield and then Ceane. I mean, that boasts that a lot of opportunities can be coming, and hopefully the poaching ability from both these strikers and even Caputo. Hopefully, they have enough that they can just sniff out some goals like Inzaghi used to do back in the day.
Well, here's the other thing, when you think about it, when you talk about, if you make the argument for a fit Francesco Caputo in this conversation, the reason why you do it is because, not only does he fit, he's a striker in a 4-3-3 system that Mancini likes to play. He's a striker in a system that Sassuolo, they want the ball and they have possession and they play against teams that pack it in against them. And force them to just basically bunker down. Where do Immobile and Belotti get a lot of their goals? They get them in counters.
Yeah.
Okay, they get them where there's space. They get them where in moments where opposing defenses are stretched. Okay, so then you're throwing them into a striker in a 4-3-3, and we're getting into games like this against Northern Ireland and Bulgaria, who are playing far more compact, who are letting us have the ball, and it's different for them. They can't find the room, when they're not as clinical. They're not getting into those dangerous areas where balls can be played into them. They're not finding the little half spaces, and then when they get the ball, they're not taking the half chances that are there. They're used to, environments and based on how their teams play, where they're far better going the other way. They're far better on the counter where the opponent is completely loosened up, and they can take advantage of that and they can attack those spaces and score. Now they're running into crowds and they're finding some issues. Caputo has, by comparison, been on Sassuolo teams that have had to try to solve that problem quite a bit.
Yeah.
So, that's another thing. That's just another wrinkle that you can throw into it when you look at it tactically. It's you're taking strikers that are used to a similar, have similar qualities and are used to scoring in a similar way, and now you're putting them into something, totally different that they're not used to.
I think we talk about this a lot, about different scenarios and the trend, right? Watch the trend. The trend is our friend. The one thing I've noticed, at least in terms of the striker position for the Azzurri, while both Immobile and Belotti have been getting, their fair share of games, and Belotti has a slight advantage in terms of goals overall. I think he's like in the top 5 now in goals for the Azzurri in away games or something like that. So, but the key thing for me, the trend for me, is that Mancini doesn't trust Immobile just yet. In all the big games that Mancini's managed for the Azzurri, Immobile has never started. I think maybe started a couple of those games. It's majority of the time been Belotti. And Immobile, if he's even used at all, it's coming in as a substitute. Sometimes he's even not even played at all, not even featured. So he has to win the trust from Mancini first, which is obvious. And if he can do it in these games where it's not as critical a game, where it's not quite in the tournament yet, that's the time for him to see. It's Immobile can certainly win this position, but he has to earn it. He's not going to be given this thing. If right now we're talking about giving it, if the tournament started today, it's Belotti. I can almost guarantee that.
Okay, and I don't have a problem with that. I mean, but the other thing is that, when you talk about the striker situation here in Italy, I mean, you go back to some of these competitions where Italy were successful. I mean, and by successful, I mean winning. Yeah. Think about all of them, and Italy's best striker, like club striker, was he? When was the last time Italy's best club striker was prominent in leading Italy to a major championship?
A long time.
As Italy's striker, 1982, Paolo Rossi.
Yep.
Okay, so 1994, Giuseppe Signori was Italy's best, was club football's best in as far as Italian strikers in Serie A. He was the best. Yep. Playing for Lazio, was hardly used in Sacchi's 4-4-2. I mean, there were moments. I think there were moments where he used him, but he also trusted Massaro to be the partner to Baggio. Trusted Casiraghi to be the partner to Baggio. You didn't see a whole lot of run-in coming from Signore in those games. 2000, when they reached the European final, Del Vecchio started in the final. Okay, with Totti behind him. Alessandro Del Piero was the best club forward in Italy around that time, or was one of the best, and was hardly getting a look in. And then sadly, and I hate to bring up old wounds, I hate to open old wounds, but in that 2000 final, he showed you why Dino Zoff didn't quite trust him. Italy should have won that damn thing, if not for the two misses that he had. 2006, it was a lot of Luca Toni, and Luca Toni was actually strong. Was he Fiorentina at the time?
Yeah, I think he was. This is before he went to Bayern.
Yeah. And we put Del Piero in and fucked us. Yeah. I told you I was opening old wounds.
No.
So, so do we really have to have our best club strikers be the guy?
No.
Or do we have to, or why don't we just go with the guy that functionally fits?
The one who scores goals.
Yeah. Just go with the guy that fits functionally.
Graziano Pelle. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Prior to 2016, Pavoletti was the leading Italian scorer, and he didn't even call up. Yeah, Pelle was playing for Southampton.
Yep.
In 2016, and was middling at best when he was playing with Southampton, but he was Conte's striker.
Him and Eder. Oh my.
Oh God. I mean, Conte is a world-class manager just alone
for what he did.
Just for taking them and making them a quarterfinalist at a major international tournament.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. So, and we're not, when you do, and this is the other misconception that you happen, and you see this with Calcio Twitter, and you see this with just, casual fans of football. They said this national team should be your dream team, and that's just not the case. Okay, the manager of the national team needs to put together the team that he thinks is going to be the most functional. You go look at World Cup. You only need to look at 3 years ago and look at World Cup 2018. Deschamps didn't take Karim Benzema with him.
Yeah.
And France won the World Cup.
He's arguably their best striker in this generation, and he didn't even get a sniff. I mean, he didn't even was even brought, and they won the World Cup. So it's about the fit. It's 100% about the fit, and I think that's why we haven't seen for the Azzurri the main club striker being the main striker for the Azzurri. It's the reason. It has to be the right fit, and I think the times that we've struggled and we've not done well, it's because we tried to make it fit when it doesn't work.
Right.
So trust in Mancini. He hasn't failed us yet, right? So. Give him the keys and let him do what he thinks is best.
Yep, agreed. So let's hope there is an answer to the striker issue here for the Azzurri here before they enter Euro 2020 here this summer. So Lithuania coming up tomorrow. We'll probably see some degree of rotation. I think Di Lorenzo will start. Looks like if I'm looking at SofaScore's website. And they're projecting a Di Lorenzo, Bastoni, Acerbi, Palmieri back four, Barella, Locatelli, Pellegrini, and then Insigne, Immobile, and Bernardeschi. Poor Insigne. He's going to play every game, which is fine. But I think some of this is compounded by the fact that Grifo would probably be the other guy that plays in that role, and he's out. So I don't know who you could put there unless you put Chiesa there. And just. But then again, here's what we talked. It's what we talked about. He might just be a paperweight up there. So, but it is Lithuania. It's a chance for him to work out some issues. So to that extent, it might not be a terrible idea. Mm-hmm. Lithuania last seen, their only qualifier lost to Switzerland 1-0 in Switzerland. Interestingly enough. Prior to that, though, they got thumped by Kosovo in a friendly 4-0. So Italy should cruise through this. I'm going to go 3-0 here. I'm not going to go nuts. I don't think they're putting on a 5 or 6 goal display.
No.
I think
they're not Japan.
It's going to be what you saw with the first 2 games. They're not Belgium's backups. It's going to be what you saw with these previous two games. They're going to be in control of the game over the 90 minutes.
Yeah.
You may fall asleep for certain spells, but they're going to get a 3-0 win. They're not going to be, and they're not going to be ashamed of it, and they're not going to apologize for it, and they're going to move on.
Yeah, I said from the beginning that it was probably going to be a 3, maybe 4-0 scoreline in this one. I think this is, again, I want to see convincing Azzurri. I don't want to see what we saw the first two games. Well, the first two games was nice, and it's two opponents that we expected it to be difficult. This is a team that should be an easier game of it, and I expect to see at least 3 goals in this game, or I'm going to be disappointed, honestly. So, yeah, we'll see.
Yep. The only guy that I'm familiar with in this Lithuanian side that I have any kind of Arvydas Novikovas, veteran midfielder, might be starting on the left-hand side. I believe he's currently playing in Turkey. I can confirm that. Yep. So for his club, has played 28 games, he plays about 66 minutes a game. He's got 4 goals, 4 assists for his club side. So bit of a creator for them. In Nations League duty with them, played and started all 4 games, scored twice, didn't get any assists. So he's the danger man if Lithuania has one. But nothing that I think Italy is going to be terribly worried about.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Should be a straight-up match.
Yep,
hopefully. Should
be pretty straightforward for the Azzurri, but you never know.
Yep.
Portugal fell behind to Luxembourg today before going. But Luxembourg actually have some players.
Correct.
They beat Ireland over the weekend too. Mm-hmm. So, so they're
dark horse.
They're not going to qualify, but they're going to be a big pain in the ass to everybody in that group this time around.
Yeah,
so.
They're like Spezia or who's the other pain in the ass team in Serie? Genoa, right? Genoa.
Yep. They'll be organized. They'll be organized, and they'll have just enough quality. Yep. So that is our Azzurri roundup. At Serie Sitdown on Twitter, Instagram. Give us your thoughts on what you are seeing with the Azzurri. If you agree with our takes, or if you think we're nuts. And then the answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
To both.
All day.
Yep, all day. All right, so moving on now, Richard. Quick peek at this Saturday. All Serie A teams are going to play Saturday. They always do this. They don't play on Easter. So all 10 games are going on Saturday. Milan hosting Sampdoria. Atalanta hosting Udinese. Benevento hosting Parma. Cagliari hosting Hellas Verona. Genoa hosts Fiorentina. Lazio Spezia. Napoli Crotone. Sassuolo Roma. Derby della Mole, Torino and Juventus. And then Bologna taking on Inter.
Yeah.
At the Dell'Ara. So... which one do you want to look at first?
Well, let's look at the biggest game of the weekend. It's going to be the Derby della Mole. Torino and Juventus. If you at first glance, you're going to be like, oh, Juventus should just walk all over them. Torino's been poor, but they've had some games where they've been lively lately, and it's a derby, so anything can happen. Juventus have not been in the best of forms of lately, and so I expect this to be a lot closer than Juventini would like. Anything can happen. Obviously, you got some decent players on Torino. Whether they show up or not is the question. Juventus, they obviously have a very good lineup. So I think it'll be very close in that game. I would not be surprised if it was a 2-1 game in this game, and I would not be surprised to see an upset. Honestly, I think it's that close of a game, considering the forms of both these teams and Juventus. They're obviously going to want to. Get back on the right track after recent results, but it's not gonna be a cakewalk. I don't think this is not the best Juventus team we've seen in a while, and it's obviously not the best Torino, but it's not the worst Torino either. So it should be interesting.
They're playing with a little bit more discipline here under Nicola, that's for sure. Do you think Ronaldo plays? He's been in every of these internationals for Portugal.
I think he wants to in the Copacabana. I think he will. He'll find a way. And he's a big game player. He likes to play these derby games. He gets up for them. It doesn't matter what kind of derby it is. And I expect him. I expect him to play. If not starting, he's going to be in the game at some point, though.
Interesting. I have interest in this Sassuolo Roma game.
Yeah.
I think that this could be a bit of a spectacle. We'll see. I mean, Sassuolo just way behind in terms of any opportunity for a top 6 place, even top 7 for Europe. But let's see what they're made of here in this run-in. They've got 11 games to play. Are they ready? Are they just going to hit the beach, or are they going to want to have the opportunity to prove themselves to say, hey, if we can't finish in the top 6, let's prove that we're as good as any of those teams. I think this sets up nicely for Roma's counter.
Yeah.
But I also think with Sassuolo's possession and Roma's defensive ineptitude, I think this game can see some goals. I'm gonna go with a draw. I'm gonna go 2-2. But I think this is, if you have to watch a game that does not involve your favorite team in Serie A this weekend, this would probably be the game for me to watch.
Yeah, for sure. No, I agree about that. I would like to see a goal fest. It seems like every time Sassuolo plays that we expect a lot of goals. It hasn't happened of late. But I think, to your point, I think, it's important for, if they play Locatelli, Berardi, and even Caputo if he's healthy. I don't even know what his condition is right now. I don't know if he got COVID or what, but it's important for them to play well down the stretch because they're all vying for Azzurri positions, right? And so they want to keep that form going, and hopefully there's enough of these guys on that team to keep that momentum going and try to at least play well, play the way they've been playing at the beginning of the season, and end strong. This is a game that Roma should, win. I'm not gonna say easily, but it should be a game that should be comfortable for them, but it won't be. For the reasons you mentioned, I think they're too susceptible to mistakes. Now, luckily for them, this is not a top 6 opponent, right? So, but Sassuolo can play like a top 6 opponent when they want to. So it will be a difficult game. I see some goals, like you said. Just for the optimism and the hope's sake, I'm going to say 3-2 Roma.
Okay. Should be exciting. Jerry mentioned, of course, the Laziale is going to chime in and say Roma haven't beaten any of the teams yet in the top 9. So, rubbing salt in the wounds. The only other game that I want to put your attention on, Richard, is Bologna and Inter.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think this one's fascinating because this is look. I have no delusions. Inter's going to win this title right now. The only thing that's keeping them from winning this title is a significant injury or two. And I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. And by significant, I'm meaning Lukaku, I'm meaning Barella, guys that have been incredibly vital and incredibly consistent with what Inter has done this season. But Bologna are an interesting proposition. They have traditionally given Inter some trouble. They have split their last 4 games. And if we go even further, Inter have, if you go even further, Inter have won a majority here. But Bologna make this interesting, and Sinisa Mihailovic sets this team up to frustrate Inter, and with what they got going the other way, and it's Inter away, and that's the one area of Inter that I'm not totally sold on. They get into these games against that you think, hey, they should walk them, but they don't. And it's a struggle. We've seen it at Udinese, that 0-0 draw, losing at Sampdoria. Okay, the outcomes aren't just limited to Inter winning and moving on here.
Yeah, and Bologna have the quality to pull off an upset. They have some really good players. We talked about how massively they underachieved. But Mihailovic can get up for these big games, gets his teams ready. I mean, Mustabaro is having a wonderful season, and there's some playmakers on this team. Don't discount Bologna. But Inter have found ways to win this year. They've been resourceful, almost like Juventus in the past, where even games where they playing really, really poor, they found ways to win. Now, obviously, they lost recently to Sampdoria and stuff like that, but Bologna is going to make it a difficult fight for them. I expect the way Inter's been playing over the second half of the season thus far, I expect they're going to find a way to pull one out of their ass and win 1-0 or 2-1 in this game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Bologna score early in this game either, just because what they're capable of. But especially with Oman Palacio against his old team, Many guys, I guess. Mihalovic has seen his old team as well. But yeah, it's just it'll be a lot closer than Interisti would like. Bologna are just a team that know how to play. Inter, like you mentioned, like they've drawn them 4 times in a row now. So yeah, it's gonna be a difficult encounter. I'm certainly gonna be paying attention to this one, probably more so than the Roma Sassuolo. Roma Sassuolo is more for the spectacle, right? I think this one is more for like, oh, maybe they can give some hope to people like Juventus and Milan and Atalanta. But we all know that the race is over.
Pazzo Inter could certainly rear her ugly head.
Yeah, there's still time
in this or tit in this game. See what I did there?
I did. I did. Tit for tat. I got you.
Team Tit. That logo. Wow. How did that get through?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, which means it's time to segue into the world's most popular hashtag game. It is time for Who Won Calcio Twitter. Richard, do the honors of leading us off here.
Yeah, so this one was brought to our attention by Hakan's Cheeks, and it comes from our last week's winner. That's what Said. He says, so the original tweet was from Bayern in Germany, saying the people in charge of the DFB have rejected Ralf Rangnick as a potential successor for Joachim Löw because he wanted to start a revolution within the association. So Said says, this brother wants to start a new revolution everywhere he's linked, starting to think he might have a better chance of joining the army.
All right, good start. Good start. All right.
Oh, God.
All right, so at Napoli Talk, don't ask, just listen. A YouTube link that...
Oh, you skip one, but yeah, go ahead.
It's a picture of Bakayoko featuring The Weeknd.
And you gotta... Yeah, but there's actually a link, and you click the link, and they redid the Blinding Lights song, but it says Bakayoko. Can you hear it?
Look at this. No, hang on. I got to look at it.
We'll watch it a couple seconds here. Let me fast forward. You get the point. It's a funny video. Watch the whole video. It's 3 minutes long. We don't have time on our long podcast to watch it, but it's definitely worth a watch. It is pretty funny actually. So give that a follow. It's hilarious. It's really hilarious. I'll go to one that was skipped here. So you're watching that.
So did I skip one? I didn't think.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
It's all right. No, Hakan's Cheek did 2 in a row. It's confusing. I missed it too originally.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So this one, this is actually from Roti Return, Roti Return. It says Crotone Man is one hell of a player. So Cristiano versus the bottom teams, and then Cristiano versus the top teams.
Oh God. Oh my goodness! All right, that's at Roti Return. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. That has a that's a contender. That has a chance. At Napoli Talk, absolutely. In the clubhouse, we've got some good ones. And I think that you did this one already, so we're moving up.
Yep.
At One Boss Fans, the next one.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. So. Can pulls out of World Cup qualifiers due to fatigue. Joe Carbonara at One Boss Fan. What? Fatigue? Try being 46 years old with 3 kids under 9 and waking up each day at 6 a.m. I'd be prancing on that field proudly wearing the Azzurri. In all seriousness, I hope Ken as well.
Yeah. Fatigue. Well, this one I kind of got egg on my face. Is nominated by the Calcio guys and many people actually for my dumb fuckery. So I put the tweet out originally saying, "Hey, we're 6 followers away from 4,000." Then I'm like, "Oh no, I can't read. It's 3,400." And I got nominated like 5 times by that. So
old age is creeping in, man.
No, it is.
The eyes will start playing a lot of. They're gonna play a lot more tricks on you than that. I promise you.
Yep.
So, a couple people nominated you for that too.
Yeah.
All right. So Uncle Sharma is nominating Art Morelli. CR7 really puts the mort in amortization, and this was in response to Amoyal saying, anytime you hear the questions, should Ronaldo stay at Juve or should Juve keep Ronaldo? The next question should be, which club wants to pay over 80 million euros between wages and amortization just for next season at a time COVID has ravaged clubs' finances? So, and CR7 really puts the mort in amortization. So
Well done.
Art always gets on the board.
Yeah, he's good. Let's see. All right, so this one I get nominated actually by Apex Crafter. So this is actually not one of mine. This is something I saw on Facebook. It comes from Diavolo El Fuoco Rossonero, and it's a picture of Ronaldo holding up a Gajic jersey, Juventus jersey, after Benevento win the game.
Nice. Well done.
Nice.
You laugh at your own jokes, huh?
I do. It wasn't even my joke. It wasn't my joke. It's someone else's joke.
At Napoli Sansone, Juve's golden boy. It's a picture of Chiesa with a little sticker that says Juve Merda.
Okay. All right.
Sansone is always getting on the board too.
It is.
Always be pretty often.
So the next one comes from that Milan fan Jake, who actually puts us in our view here. So first, Juventus put out a tweet saying the next episode of the Sulla Razza podcast entitled "The N-Word" is now online. Obviously, that drew a lot of comments about this podcast. But the one that we got nominated here is Bonucci right now. Let me in. There's actually some other good ones about that, but yeah.
At Goatpard, Paulo Dybala 2020, 2021, all touches and season highlights.
The next Messi.
He didn't just do that, did he?
He did. It goes on for like 2 minutes, but yeah. All right, this one's nominated. This is brought to our attention by Gianni. You're still watching it?
What is he doing?
I don't know. It's a TikTok thing. I don't know. Kids these days.
These kids.
All
right, that's got a shot there. Goatpard, you got a shot.
Next one comes from at Gianluca617. It's Koulibaly dislocated a finger while on international break. Napoli fans, everybody panic!
All right. At Simo33XX, Sunni finally paying Inter players this month. Euros, fake money, prop money, paper 10, 20, 50, 100 euro bills, prices, banknotes.
Oh, awesome.
473 to 576 US to have all that fake euro money, huh?
Nice. This one comes from at JVCNTR1. It's Bernardeschi versus Benevento first half highlights. Just dancing around. The guy's a dancer. He's a good dancer.
He's wearing a Barcelona kit, though.
Yeah, he is.
Well, take him where you can get him, right?
Yep, exactly.
So, okay. At Rotich Elisha, flash score live commentary on Juventus Benevento game. What the hell did your grandmother do to be included in this? 80th minute. My grandmother could have scored that. Cristiano blazed the ball just over the bar from close range.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
That's a good one.
Farino_10 brought this to our attention. This comes from Sabina. She is a Juventus fan. She says, Juventus trying to win the Champions League. Small tractor with a big boat. Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Well, gotta love those canal jokes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Jerry is nominating at 45 ACP Joe.
Okay.
And let's see. It's at Omnifoot. According to La Gazzetta dello Sport, Milan are leading the race to sign Sergei. The club will reportedly make a bid with 40 million plus player. Alessio Romagnoli will go the other direction. La Gazzetta dello Sport is the best pink toilet roll ever made.
Yeah, it's true. Good, true, very true.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, this comes from Sansoni as well. It's Fabian career highlights at Napoli. Just dancing. Good dancer.
Yeah.
The ponytail looks like more like Palacio than anywhere else.
Yeah, he's got some moves. Unless there's a ponytailed Napoli player.
Yeah.
I don't think they have one. All right, so Rafa nominated himself. The lads at ESPN FC were talking about pre-match meals. Higuain wanted something different in catering and got it. And then they had a little Photoshop McDonald's bag in there.
Oh, that's funny.
So very nice.
Let's see. Where do we go? Okay, so this ESPN FC tweeted out this. The Italians know how to sing a national anthem, and then it's the kids from me. Look at their eyes; they're scared. Like what the? They're yelling! They're yelling!
These poor kids. All right, they know nothing about gusto.
Nope.
Let's see here. Let's see. Okay, so Perisic is usually on the board a lot. He's passing on a nominee, so I'm curious to see what this is at Harsh Realities 9. Stefano Sensi when Mancini asks him to play, and there it is. It's Kevin Nash getting out of the wheelchair.
Yeah, Sensi played pretty well in the game too. So yeah, all of a sudden he is not injury riddled anymore with it for the Azzurri. So
yep.
All right. Martino Puccio brought this to our attention. And Irish Inter fan, it's at Irish Inter. He says, an amazing satellite photo of the Suez ship. Zoom in and you can even read the writing on the side. And it is Juve merda. That's funny.
Excellent stuff. All right. So Nick Zamboni at Nick Zam. Who's going to tell them? There it is, the new Inter Milan logo, looking like the Volkswagen logo.
Amongst other things. Not me. All right. Well, you got nominated, Frank.
Yes.
And it's Inter Milan changing their logo to spell "tit is perfect." There it is. T-I-T.
Yep.
Tit for tat.
I do have to credit. I found it from Carlo Garganese from the Italian Football Podcast, and he got it from somewhere too. So
everyone gets a nomination.
Oh gosh, I mean everybody's been teeing off on this logo. It's unbelievable.
Well, Farinho responded to yours there.
Yep, and I thought I had a pretty good shout, laughing my ass off. I am broke.
The picture.
Oh boy.
Oh, that's good. Let's see what else we got. Okay, so you nominated this one. This is from at Oozing Reds, and it's when you order it online and when it arrives. Yeah, that's funny.
We're having way too much fun with this logo.
We are. Oh, well.
Oh, boy. Big Sheik's back on the board. Nominated by Rafa this time. Me and my new Inter Milano merch.
He goes outside.
Hold on, let me take a picture. Quick, son. Hold on, B. Hold on, yeah.
Posing for the pictures. Turns around. He's got the logo on his pants. Oh, Big Sheik loves the new merchandise, apparently. Rafa also tweeted out to the Irish Inter fan with the same thing with the Juve merda. That's funny. That's funny. I guess that's real. It could be photoshopped. I don't know, but funny nonetheless. That's another Who on Calcio Twitter nominated to us by Farinho. This one actually comes from the Netherlands Nomads, and it's I'm like what the.
What is that?
So the original tweet was from Inter, and it says, "I'm power, I'm brave, I'm future, I'm El Toro," and so he responds, "I'm like what the fuck."
Nice.
I got it now. I got you. All right. So, which one wins? Which one wins, Frank?
Oh boy. I'm gonna let you pick. There's so many good ones this time around.
There are. The one that I liked just because I don't know. Maybe I just feeling giddy tonight. It's Sansone, Juve's golden boy, and he's holding a Juve merda.
I think we go with that.
There's a lot of good ones. There's a lot of good ones though. But yeah.
Let me just double check. Let me.
Yeah.
That's a great one. Goatpard I think has to get in there.
Okay.
I'm going with Goatpard.
Okay. That works.
Paulo Dybala, all touches in season highlights. So let's just do that. Love the first comment. More touch than Havertz.
I'll just leave it here while you do that, so people can watch it here. Oh, interesting. Very well done this week, folks. Nicely done. For those who are listening on our YouTube page, make sure you give us a subscribe, like, leave comments. Much appreciated, Frank. All right.
Let's hashtag Who Won Calcio Twitter. If you find something you want to nominate, put that. Please don't be offensive. Okay. Please keep it in good humor. Please keep it in good spirits. We want this to be an enjoyable experience for everybody involved. Okay. So that is the only caveat that I have with this. All right. So please make sure that you're doing that. So, with that, we're going to put a bow on this edition of Serie Sit Down. Richard, shameless plug time. What do you got?
I'm going to plug the guys at Calcio Connection. They had us on their show last night. Our show. It's our second show right now. They had us on their show last night. Great guys. Both Jerry and Alex had a lot of fun on the podcast. So definitely give them a follow. Listen to their podcast. Subscribe to the YouTube. Do it all. Great guys and a great podcast. So giving them a shout. And then as always, you can follow me. I can't get this done yet. At @_KHARMAN on Twitter, Instagram, wherever.
You can find me at FTC_21. Yeah, we have problems with that.
Yeah.
I feel like I should be. It's like, yeah, I guess it should be looking in a mirror, but it really isn't. But anyway,
no.
At FTC_21. I will be on Man of the Match with Alex Dono on Friday, 5:20 Eastern. So check that out at Onside Radio or go to onsideradio.com. Alex and I will have a good little 15-minute chat about Calcio and the latest goings on. So please tune in, please support. Also support Hardcore Italians. Great T-shirts that they've got out there. So. Please check them out and get some swag. There's some pretty good T-shirts.
If you use our code AT15, you can get 15% off. Just FYI.
Well, more reason. AT15. Go to Hardcore Italians. Discount code AT15. Get yourself a 15% discount. Get yourself some T-shirts. Lord knows some of y'all out there need some. Keep wearing the same stuff every 3 days. I know our listeners wear the same shit 3 days in a row. They got to.
Yeah, why not? It's COVID. It's COVID. You got a reason.
Jerry expects us to come back on next week on your podcast or to do our own.
We'll be back on our podcast next week.
We'll be back doing our own. I mean,
maybe a schedule change down the road here, but yeah,
we can only take Jerry in small doses. So, but anyway, we'll see. But no, I will be. So and then again, Man of the Match with Alex Dono Friday, 5:20 Eastern at Onside Radio. Go to onsideradio.com. Check out that interview. Otherwise, check us out. Serie Sit Down. We have our own channel on Apple Podcasts. We have it on SoundCloud. We can also be found on Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever there is podcasts. You can find Serie Sit Down. So please subscribe. Say great things about us. It means a lot to us. At Serie Sit Down on Twitter, on Instagram. Also, we're available on Facebook. Please check us out there. Here on the YouTube channel. First time watching, like what you saw, please drop a like. Please subscribe. The subscription gets you notifications on when we go live on future podcasts. So check it out there. Plus any other videos that we might throw out here in the not too distant future. Chat. Beautiful as always. Grazie.
Yep,
thank
absolutely.
Thank you for taking part and interacting with Richard and myself. And for all of you out there, thank you for your listenership. We appreciate it. It means a lot to us. Richard, this time next week, we can talk some Serie A.
About time.
We'll get back at it. So for Richard, I'm Frank. Make sure you, as always, make sure you're telling your paisans about us. Ciao.
Make it big.